Hi, this is Marcus Pulis, and this is Aquarian Anarchy. This week, I'm going to be talking about some important, although not as much publicized, stories from a voluntarist perspective. Before I get started, go ahead and like and share this video if you like it, and check out the store where you can get t-shirts and even this banner behind me. And those kinds of things. I appreciate all of the support that I can get. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into it. The first story that interested me this week was one about Chelsea Manning. The headline is Chelsea Manning says she is never backing down in the face of U.S. detention meant to break her. 2 days after the UN Special Reporter on Torture, Nils Melzer, published a letter he sent to the U.S. government urging her release from the federal prison, whistleblower Chelsea Manning issued a response welcoming the support and promising to stay resolute in the face of her prolonged detention. She's been in prolonged detention before. This isn't anything new. If you have any kind of inkling of who Chelsea Manning is, she for sure can hold her own. So she said, quote, "My long-standing objection to the immoral practice of throwing people in jail without charge or trial for the sole purpose of forcing them to testify before a secret government-run investigative panel remains strong." Woo! That's a good statement. So I'm going to dive into that for just a minute. The immoral practice, I would say unethical, but immoral works too, of throwing people in jail without charge or trial. Don't forget, we're not going to do that. We're just going to pass the law, and then we're not going to do it. Shut up. When Obama passed that NDAA into law, we knew at the time that it was going to get used. It was going to get used a lot. But so she's in there without charge or trial for the sole purpose of forcing her to testify before a secret government-run investigation panel. Yeah, that'll be fair. Yeah, secret trials always go well. They always, they're fair. They're fair. Of course they're not fair. Of course she should not be playing in this Mickey Mouse bullcrap that they're calling a trial, which is going to find whatever they want to find if it's secret. So anyway, Manning was imprisoned on March 8th, 2019 for refusing to take part in a grand jury investigation on WikiLeaks and the group leader Julian Assange. Manning and her supporters have alleged that the real purpose of her testimony would be to set perjury traps that could eventually land the former Army private in prison. Not a shock. That's what the government's just trying to put a cage on her. And for that matter, Julian Assange. As Common Dreams reported, Melzer's letter expressed the reporter's serious concerns at the reported use of coercive measures against Miss Manning, particularly given the history of her previous conviction and ill treatment in detention. But they're not. They're just good guys in jail. Yeah, they're not going to beat her until she's in submission. They're not going to do all that. And requested more information on Manning's detention. Quote, "I recommend that Miss Manning's current deprivation of liberty be promptly reviewed in the light of the United States' internal human rights obligations." Human rights obligations, which they ignore. You know, this illusion that government can somehow protect anything is just absolute bullcrap. You might as well flush that straight down the toilet. Melzer wrote, "Should my assessment regarding its purely coercive purpose be accurate, I recommend that Miss Manning be released without further delay and that any fines disproportionate to the gravity of any offense she may have committed be canceled or reimbursed." They because she refuses to talk and say anything that would incriminate herself or Julian Assange. She is absolutely refusing to talk, and so they're finding her for every day she's in there. So she'll, even if they do release her, she's going to be, they'll throw her right back in for not paying the $4 million or whatever to for her fines. Manning's attorney, Moira Meltzer Cohen, in a statement said that Meltzer letter made clear that Manning's detention is a violation of international norms and for the sole purpose of torturing a whistleblower. Remember when Obama said, "Oh, I am for the whistleblowers," and then started throwing them in prison? Yeah, that's one of these situations. Aren't you glad that you got an outsider in there now with Donald Trump? Because he sure is just keeping on doing the same shit that all the other psychopaths are doing. In any case, Meltzer Cohen added, there can be no further doubt that Miss Manning has the courage of her convictions and will never agree to testify before a grand jury, even at great personal cost. I mean, what are they going to do to her at this point? They've thrown her in jail. Nobody, what's she going to get? A job at Arby's? Come on. I know what she can do. She can just go work telemarketing. That's a good job for you. Yeah, she is never going to be able to be employed because they have destroyed her entire life, as government is wont to do with its enemies. Manning echoed the sentiment in her statement. Quote, even knowing I am very likely to stay in jail for an even longer time, said Manning, I am never backing down. I'll tell you what, she is a brave person. I don't know. I just being honest, I like to think that I'm a strong person, but I do not know if I could do what she's done. Her story needs to continue to be being reported. I realize that they're going to shadow ban the crap out of everybody who talks about it, and I don't really care because I'm just putting this information out there. It's on record. I have stated my opinion, and hopefully somebody gets it and appreciates it. And every second that we can devote to her getting out of trouble for doing nothing wrong. Same with Assange, which I'm about to get into, but same with Assange. He did nothing wrong. So, on to Assange. Sky News and others have reported that Assange was offered freedom if he would just say that the Russians had nothing to do with his leaked information that he leaked about the DNC and what have you, that point to corruption at the DNC. That is not only flawed reporting, but indicates that we should be awaiting his release at any moment, because he's already done that. He has already said, and it is all bullcrap, it wasn't Russia wasn't paying me, that's all bull. And then I want you to take notice also, this is Trump going after Assange and trying to get him to say that Russia didn't have to do with anything with the DNC. Notice that. These two parties work side by side to screw you over. Again, this is just the mainstream trying to strip public support from Assange. They're trying every way they can. And I've seen people that have said, he must have made a deal. No, we didn't make no damn deal. They're doing everything they can to discredit him so that people like me and you will stop supporting him. So that they can do with him what they want to do with him and Chelsea Manning and throw them into a vat or kill them. Just like they want to do with Snowden, just like they want to do with anybody who stands up to them. The only thing stopping them from just destroying anyone is they don't think they can get away with it. Which that should tell you something. Good. They can't get away with it. We are getting stronger and stronger by the minute. And by we, I mean people of free minds. We're getting stronger. So let me be clear. It is not that I particularly support any individual or don't. I support free speech. Even speech I disagree with. I'm not saying that everything that somebody says, whether it's Assange or somebody else, I support everything they say, or Chelsea Manning or anybody like that, but they have the right to say it. They should be able to, in a free society, say whatever they want, and especially if they're a journalist. They should be able to put what information they can, and if you disprove it, make them apologize. Smack them a bunch of times, just like when ABC was lying about, bombs going off in Syria when it turned out to be Kentucky. This is all the same kind of thing. We're supposed to believe them when they have been proven to lie over and over and over again. But people like me, we don't know what we're talking about. So that being said, only crime Assange is guilty of is telling the truth. And they need to release him, and they need to release him now. Sky News' coverage is down below. Meanwhile, they cover up another story about Assange. Apparently, Trump just appointed his acting director of national intelligence, the former ambassador to Germany, Richard Grenell, who was the man responsible for the deal in Ecuador to give up Assange. But you'll hear Trump supporters, he would, during the election, because he's trying to get Ron Paul supporters to support him, Trump's like, Assange should be free, and da-da-la-la-la, and I'm going to lie over again. So anyway, now he's hired the guy responsible for making the deal to give up Assange in Ecuador as his director of national intelligence. That makes me feel comfortable. As Felicia, by the way, that's what I call my personal NSA agent. I work for Adam Kokesh, so I'm certain that I have a personal NSA agent. His name is Felicia, and right now he's got one of my shirts. I sent myself a shirt in the mail, and it should have been here. I live in Indiana. It was in Kentucky on Saturday. It's currently Tuesday evening. It should have already made it to my house, but right now Felicia's got my shirt on. He's tucked his cock behind his legs. He's pretending he's a woman in my shirt. Hi, Felicia. Fuck you. So anyway, that's what's going on. Is they're just putting pressure on people that are telling the truth because they live in a land of lies, and it is time for that to end. So to move on, talking about our great dictator, here's a news story. Trump declares himself the chief law enforcement officer as he issues numerous pardons. He literally said that because he's an idiot. Most people think, anyway, but this is off of Yahoo News. It's Dylan Stableford who did the article. Now, President Trump on Tuesday exercised his pardon power. He's not pardoning Assange or Chelsea Manning, but we're going to get to some people that really raped people over, and we're going to go on and let them go. So, anyhow, Tuesday exercised his pardon power, granting clemency to or commuting the sentences of nearly a dozen people convicted of crimes, including former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. I can't say his name. Blagojevich. Anyway, the junk bond pioneer Michael Milken. In other words, rich people. His buddies. We can't, Assange tells the truth. We got to lock his ass down. Chelsea Manning, she's telling the truth, and she said no to us. We got to lock her up forever and charge her a bunch of money for it. But these people that stole from people, they're good to go. Let them out. Because they're rich. Because the rich stay rich. It's the same thing. Why they kept letting Epstein go over and over and over and over again is because the rich stay rich, the poor stay poor, and the cops get paid to look away as the money is spent. That is exactly how they spread the disease. I gotta get a little bit credit where credit goes. That little bit of the thing was straight from Queensryche, the band, one of their songs. I think it was Spreading the Disease. So anyway, but that's exactly what they're doing. So Trump also referred to himself as the nation's chief law enforcement officer, Sheriff Trump, a title typically reserved for the Attorney General. Trump has no idea. I'm in charge. I'm a dictator. I do what I want. I do what I want. This idiot has probably got himself a little uniform and all of that. Check out the cover to this because that's Trump right there. I'm the police officer. Respect the blue line. It's a thin blue line. I'm the guy that's gonna arrest all the bad people like Julian Assange, but I'm gonna go and let everybody else go, okay? Anyway, so that's Trump's fucking idiot ass. Anyway, on Tuesday morning, the White House announced Trump's pardoning a former San Francisco 49ers owner, Edward Bartolo Jr., for his involvement in a 1998 corruption case against former Louisiana Governor Edwin Edwards, another buddy of his. Just let him out. Just let him go. Corruption, hey, I'm good at that. Everybody that's into corruption, that's my club. That's what Trump's like. Anyway, Ohio pastor Derek Scott, a longtime Trump supporter, shocking, told Associated Press that he submitted a package to the president advocating for, I bet you supplied him a package, all right, a package of money. Here you go. This is what you need. Here you go. You pay that. You owe a bunch of money, Trump. You owe a bunch of money, Goldman Sachs. Okay, we got you handled. Here, you go and pay for that. Just let my buddy go. Trump said, okay. So, speaking on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews before boarding Air Force One en route to a fundraiser in Beverly Hills where he can get some more money, Trump announced that he had commuted Blagojevich's sentence. The former governor is serving a 14-year sentence on federal corruption charges. Gee, I wonder, I thought the swamp was gone. I thought it was gone. Didn't the swamp get gone when Trump got in there? Come on, surely it's gone. Anyway, quote, he seems like a very nice person. Oh, that's a good reason to let somebody that's an actual criminal steal from people. But he's used to that. He's in government. It's their job to steal from people. So, of course, he did. I watched his wife on television. This reminds me of that character on on Simpson. I watched him on television. Oh, yeah. Same guy. Anyway. Patricia Blagojevich had appeared on numerous Fox News shows to appeal for her husband, who was once featured as a guest contestant on Trump's reality show, The Apprentice. Blagojevich, a Democrat, again, defending each other. Oh, but they're enemies. Who believes that crap anymore? Who really believes that crap anymore? Anyway, Democrat was convicted of abusing his powers as governor, there's a shock, by seeking campaign contributions in exchange for filling the Illinois Senate seat left open when Barack Obama became president. I can't write this shit. I really can't. I cannot. Anyway, for months, Trump had been considering a pardon for the former Illinois governor, who the president said was who treated very, very unfairly. He's rich. I know he's got money. We don't treat rich people like that in this country. You get, look at what's going on with Ghislaine Maxwell. She's rich. She's not in jail. Isn't that the way it should be? So, and if anybody doesn't know, that's the person who's actually behind all of the abuse and sex rings, their sex ring that they used Jeffrey Epstein as a fall guy for. That's who that was, in case you didn't know. So anyway, the president also told reporters that he had granted clemency to former NYPD Commissioner Bernard Carrick for corruption and financier Michael Milken for regulatory crimes. All these white-collar criminals getting right the hell out of jail, but Trump also not going to release anybody that smokes a little weed. No, we got to keep them in jail. But these people stealing from folks, oh yeah, they got that. Let them out. They're just stealing from peasants. This is just the peasants. Carrick, who served more than 3 years in federal prison. Oh, poor guy. He actually served some time. For more than 3 years in federal prison for tax fraud and for making false statements, appeared on Fox News Monday night. He was New York's top cop under the then Mayor Rudy Giuliani, I'm sure another friend, who is now one of the president's attorneys. There's a big shock. Speaking on the tarmac at the Joint Base Andrews before boarding Air Force One en route to fundraiser in Beverly Hills. We already talked about that. So after Trump boarded Air Force One, the White House announced full pardons for 4 others: Ariel Friedler, Paul Pogue, David Savarian, and Angela Stanton, and granting of communications to 3 more: Denise Nicole Hall, Crystal Munoz, and Judith Negron. Munoz and Hall were both convicted of drug-related crimes. Oh, so he let some cokeheads out, while Negron went to prison for Medicare fraud. He likes letting them frauds out. You know, he probably had to throw a couple high-ranking members of a mafia group that he's also part of so that looks like he's actually doing some more. In a statement, the White House noted that Sheldon Adelson and Tom Barrack, longtime backers of Trump's campaign, were among those who advocated for clemency with Milken. All right, I'm done with all that. So at the end of it, he said, I'm actually, I guess, the chief law enforcement officer of the country. Trump said, I could be involved if I want to. This dude is just, I grew up around hillbillies. I know what they're like. And this is like the king of the hillbillies. I'll tell you what, my cousin Jimmy, he's in the big pen, and I'll let him out when I think he's served his time. It's the same crap. Braggadocious little punk. Anyway, so moving on to more Trump news. More corruption. These people are going to get arrested too, and then he's going to release them. Woo! Or maybe whoever down the road gets there, because it won't be Bernie Sanders, but the next election cycle when they have to float him out and pretend that they care and bring somebody else in. Anyway, Trump hires Cambridge Analytica alum for 2020 data work. You don't know who Cambridge Analytica is now. You need to familiarize yourself with these people that are manipulating you and manipulating you using your Facebook page. That's right, they're using social media to absolutely get you to do whatever the hell they want to. So President Donald Trump's campaign is bringing on an alum from the controversial data firm Cambridge Analytica, more likely to raise alarms among Trump critics and data privacy advocates who worry that the president will push the technological envelope to get reelected in 2020. You think? He's not pressing no envelope. He ain't pressing nothing. He don't have to. The Democrats might as well have given the hell up. Bernie Sanders is going to either they're going to rip it away from Bernie Sanders, but it's looking like that dude's got it. I mean, they're going to have to really try real hard to make it rape him, because I've said multiple times I thought they were going to tell you, but they got to get somebody to get some more delegates, because Bernie Sanders ran away with this whole thing, so I could have been wrong. So anyway, so he's not going to need to, because they're going to scare the crap out of everybody with Bernie Sanders, because people are going to be like, I don't want socialism, they kill people. So they're going to vote for Trump again, because they're going to be like, oh, I can't let that happen, while Trump pushes more and more socialism because he's a socialist. Anyway, Matt Oczowski, who served as head of product at Cambridge before it went bankrupt and shut down in 2018, and they just changed the name and moved the people somewhere else, is helping oversee Trump's campaign data program, according to two people familiar with the hire. Cambridge gained notoriety for its work on psychological voter profiling and because it allegedly improperly obtained the personal information of tens of millions of Facebook users. That's a great guy, though. We need to get him on the payroll. He knows how to manipulate the crap out of people. We gotta get him on the payroll. He's good stuff. Plus, here in a minute, if he gets arrested for something, we'll just get somebody to let him go. So, anyway, he had worked for Trump on his 2016 effort and joined the re-election campaign in January. In payments to his company, Human Behavior, and it's, for whatever reason, it's big H, U, big M, N, Behavior, Human Behavior, are expected to show up on Trump's next campaign finance disclosure later this month. Trump's aides have long denied that they used Cambridge Facebook data in 2016. And say that won't end 2020. Why would they need to? Just hired the guy. Why would they need to? We don't need to use them. Of course you don't. You just hired the guy. These are billionaires. They don't have to hire somebody. They can just pay some other dude. Or in this case, make him official. So anyway, and they insist they have no interest in using psychographic voter targeting, a centerpiece of Cambridge's approach. Oh, shut up. Then why'd you hire him? Why the hell did you hire him? Oh, the doublespeak. And this it just blows my mind over and over again with these things. Is there are people that will tell me, oh, no, he's just a good computer guy. Trump said he wasn't doing that. There are people that believe this bull crap. There are people that buy it. So anyway, Elizabeth Warren has lashed out at Facebook for refusing to police Trump's advertising on the platform. I see her every damn day on Twitter. Shut up. Anyway, and last week, former President Barack Obama tweeted out a recent article in The Atlantic examining Trump campaign's online operations. So they're just going to steal it again. They're going to get all your information and do all that. Felicia's going to have your t-shirt on eventually. Anyway. So just in case, and if you haven't paid much attention, you lost it or something. But just in case you think that I side with the Democrats over the Republicans, you are wrong. Because I'm about to dive into Bernie Sanders. So I found another article that was interesting covering Bernie Sanders. There's actually two things down below, but this one's Bernie Sanders, not Jeff Bezos, is the face of greed. And what this is about is Bernie Sanders is all going after Bezos, who is another Democrat, but he's going after him, saying he's a greedy and blah blah blah. And he's got all these profits, like it's his damn money. Anyway. So this is by Barry Brownstein, Intellectual Takeout. Until Bernie Sanders was elected mayor of Burlington, Vermont in 1981, he had never held a steady job. Never had a job. This dude, because the similarities are between socialism and people that are socialists, neither work. So when he was almost 40, so you didn't have a job. 40 years. For 20 years, that is 20 to 40. Anyway, he didn't have a job and had been virtually unemployed his entire adult life. Those who knew Sanders before he was elected mayor said he was always poor and lived just one step above hand to mouth. Despite completing a world-class education at the University of Chicago for decades. He's in school this whole time. He's learning. He's getting student loans that he'll never have to pay back. Sanders never developed skills that would allow him to earn a living. So he's in school for 20 years and didn't learn enough to get a job. uh, Thomas Paine, when talking about the nobles in Europe, called them the nobilities. I think that's a good apt description of Bernie Sanders. He's one of the nobilities. Again, Rothbard talked about Oppenheimer's ideas that where he talks about that there are two different ways you can run a society. One of them is by voluntary means, where people come together, agree, and things like that, and basically trade amongst each other. And he called that the economic means of having a society. And then there's the other way, where people who don't have abilities and decide to get together and burglarize everyone and threaten them by force. And he called that the political means. So Bernie chose the political means because he's a lazy ass socialist who doesn't want to do anything. You know what the difference? Because I'm going to get nailed. I'll get to it in a minute. Anyway, despite he occasionally worked as a carpenter, a friend recalls, but his talent was not impressive. There's a shock. Another friend remembers the electricity in Sanders' apartment being turned off a lot. Sanders, there's nothing wrong with that. I've been poor too. Facing all this stuff, that's what you do when you're growing up. So, not trying to say anything against poor people, because I'm one of you. I feel your pain. I'm one of you. So, but to get power, Sanders mooched off others by running an extension cord down the basement. That's what he's wanting everybody to do. Mooch off everybody with some cords. And you get only so many cords, dude. You can't power all of New York with extension cords off the rest of the country. You can't do it. It's not going to work. I know that may be hard for you to get, but you can't. So anyway, instead of working, Sanders was dreaming of nationalizing vast segments of American industry. In his 1992 book, Recapturing the Spirit of Enterprise, economist and futurist George Gilder explains that greed is an appetite for unearned wealth and power. By Gilder's definition, Sanders is exceedingly greedy. Duh. I don't want other people's money. Just to be clear, I want to be able to make my own money. It's really that simple. I want government get out of my way and let me earn my own. And you say, well, how's government? Well, I'll tell you how government's getting in my way, because they've paid Facebook to make sure that I can't share my t-shirt link without it being shadow banned. Just a small example. Anyway, the truly greedy seek goods and clout that they have not earned. In 40 years, this dude didn't have a job. He didn't earn shit. He owns 3 houses now, but he didn't earn nothing then. Because the best and safest way to gain unearned pay is government action to take it from others. Greed leads as by an invisible hand towards ever more government action to socialism, not capitalism. Socialism is simply the conspiracy of the greedy to exploit the productive. I have a good definition right there. Worse, Gilder observes, to confuse the issue, the greedy smear their betters with the claim of avarice that they themselves actually have. Today, Sanders threatens those he condemns as greedy. He promises to confiscate a significant point of the wealth of billionaires. In Sanders' ideal world, billionaires would not exist. How about I'd like everybody to be able to make their own money? How about that? How about we stop attacking other people's money? How about we stop making monopolies, which is what government always does, and that's how these people become uber rich. The more that we this is simple economics, the more you regulate an economy, the more that middle class that most people should be living squashes, and you wind up with this big, massive upper class that have all the power and all the money, and then the poor. Which is what they want. They want us all poor and needing them, and oh, great master, let me. That's what they want, because they want to enslave you. Anyway, so basically, this just goes on to say that all this bull crap that Bernie is trying to fight with is just him being greedy, trying to live his own way. He says the truly greedy seek goods and clout that they have not earned, because the best and safest way to gain unearned pay is government action. That makes absolute sense. In his ongoing war with Amazon and its CEO, Jeff Bezos, Sanders is a hanging judge, set in his thinking that Bezos and other entrepreneurs like him are greedy. The taxes Sanders would force Amazon and Bezos to pay would, in part, support those with an appetite for unearned pay or a lifestyle like Sanders lived while he was in his 20s and 30s. And let's be clear. Do you think Jeff Bezos, billionaire, got money out of the wazoo, you think he's just going to be like, okay, I'll pay you. No, one of two things is going to happen. He's going to be like, fuck it. I'm not going to run shit. Fold up. If I can't make no money, done. Or, which is probably the actual likely, he's going to raise the prices of stuff on Amazon. So that's going to raise the prices of everything else, and how much you can buy will go down. What just blows my mind is that this is not a difficult concept. And people just cannot get it. They don't get. Anyway, so on to Sanders. Sanders was very. This is story number 2 about Bernie Sanders. Sanders has very publicly supported the policies of Fidel Castro and other socialist wonderlands in history. And recently he came out just doubling down on his support for Castro and how wonderful it is there in Cuba. Really. Anybody looked at Cuba? Them people are still driving cars from the 50s. Anyway, just like Mises said, quote, every socialist is a disguised dictator. Sanders is no different. Many people have said that there is a difference between communism and democratic socialism. I hear it all the time. Oh, you're stupid. You don't understand the difference. Okay, let me be clear. I understand the difference. There is a difference between communism and between democratic socialism. I've said before that it doesn't matter how tyranny comes into being, whether it's at the ballot box or with a revolution, it's still tyranny. And that's the difference, okay? The difference is that Bernie Sanders and his people are too flippin' lazy to throw an actual revolution. That's it. That's the difference. They didn't throw a big revolution. They'd have to get off the couch. Bernie would have to leave one of his 3 houses and get out and do something. And he's not going to because he's a lazy piece of shit. That's who you want as your president, Democrats. Have at. Fuck him. Because I'm not having any part of it. Fuck your presidents. Fuck your masters. Fuck them all. I think that's clear. So my final story, to wrap all this up in this joyous time, is a story out of by Catherine Smith. Georgetown Library bans offensive books. So they're burning books now. they're getting rid of all these offensive books. Georgetown University officials removed and banned. Sorry, I lost my place. Georgetown University officials removed and banned, quote, all but a few books from the McCarthy and Reynolds libraries that students have deemed offensive. This is reported in Breitbart. According to the report by College Fix, Georgetown University officials have removed hundreds of books from the campus libraries after students argued that they were riddled with bigotry and the extremely vulnerable students found them unacceptable and offensive. You do not have a right to not be offended. Sorry about you. If you're offended, I don't care. How about that? How about I don't care? You don't have a right to not be offended. It is. Student Alexandra Bowman said that she noticed a book prominently featured a Native American on the cover, and therefore she complained to the administration. Shortly after, Georgetown Reynolds and McCarthy libraries were almost cleared out. Okay, there's a Native American on the cover. Could it have been a book about Native Americans? I'm just saying. Maybe. While some were simply raunchous crime noir murder mysteries representative of the library and cultural time in which they were written, other books including extremely problematic and damaging elements, including the glamorization of rape, including that of the underage girls. I bet you that some of these books were things like Tom Sawyer, where they used the N-word. And people got offended, not knowing the time and that they were talking in the dialect of the time, which is what people called each other at the time. Is it right? No, but it's truthful and still should not be banned. Anyway, and then so beyond that, it comes out the social justice warriors on the other side. Quote, completely naked women of all races were frequently featured on those book covers. Naked people! Shut your puritanical mouth. Naked people are not going to hurt you. Notice they're not talking about people blowing to pieces. War's all right. But boy, we can't have no naked people. Further, many books fetishized young non-white women. I thought you wanted it was so now everything's got to have white women on it. I mean, Upon looking further at the collection of books in the library, we noticed other serialized books, most published in the mid-20th century, with similar pornographic and racially derogatory themes. Bowman wrote during correspondence with De Hoya at Georgetown Students' Newspaper. So again, they're going after what is offensive to them, and maybe they were. Maybe there were some not good books. I don't know, but you have a right to say and print what you want. But upon first encountering the books, we documented nearly 40 of the most problematic ones, predicting they would clear the library when questioned. Keep in mind, except for one book, the last in the series, pictured at the end of this article, which I'm not going to show you, Death of the Informer, the offensive content was surmised from just books from front to back covers. In other words, they didn't read the damn things, they judged off covers. Novels by Don Tracy, Carter Brown, Nick Carter, and the writing duo Richard Sapir and Warren Murphy are on the review's offensive list, as well as the novel by the late English writer Kingsley Amis. They often included seductive women, foreigners, or both. Oh, them foreigners. Gotta get rid of the foreigners. And seductive women. Oh, we can't be having puritanical bullshit. A Georgetown spokesman said that the decision to remove the books was made out of the concern for the sensibility of the university students. These are people at a college who are fornicating all the time. You can bet your ass. I can't believe. The university led an investigation into the content of both libraries' collections following outreach from the crack research team at the Hilltop and Review. The residential life team removed books whose titles, topics, and images raised concern for students and staff, the spokesman said. The student newspaper Hoya was worried how readers might react to a story about offensive books. It put a trigger warning at the top of the story for racist and sexist content and offered contacts for campus health and counseling services at the bottom. This is nonsense. They are going to just shut down free speech in this country. Just shut it down. Because everything can be offensive for one reason or another. Everything's racist and everything's sexist and everything. Shut up. You have a right to express yourself. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to read it. You don't have to look at it. If they're all that worried, don't put it on the ends, bud. Don't put it inside. And when they say, I like it, they roll out children. Like they're treating these college students like they're little bitty kids, like they're 8 and 9 years old. When they're 18, 19, 20, 25 years old. This is Georgetown. You know, like they're not getting drunk, high, and fucking all weekend. This is nothing more than censorship, and it will get worse, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. So, my commentary for this week is the reason that the state wants control of speech is to cover up its crimes. Sure, in this particular case with this above instance, what they're doing is they are taking a little bit. I had a conversation about bump stocks today and how that is just one thing that leads to another thing that leads to another thing. Because we just you know, somebody made the argument. Well, you know, automatic weapons are already illegal, right? Which led to getting rid of bump stocks, which will lead to getting rid of, you know, they use one thing to get to another thing to get to another thing. If they threw it all out once, we'd throw a big fit, and they don't want that. So, but all of this is about free speech. This entire episode has been about free speech. It has been about the fact that they shut down Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange because they told the truth. And they don't want that. They shut that down. And it's, you know, Trump's coming out and he can let people go, but he's got these people in. And that's sending a clear message that it's okay to rip people off, but it's not okay to print the truth. And if you think for a moment that Bernie Sanders won't do the exact same thing, these are the people that Bernie Sanders, the people that made that book burning, made that book ban happen, are Bernie Sanders supporters. I'm willing to bet on it. So all of these people are removing it, and it is so that you will stay uninformed. You know, it is all about keeping you ignorant of what is going on. Because the more we know, the more we read, the more we react, the more we think, the freer we are. And it is time to say, stop with this nonsense. You know, obviously, I'm an anarchist. I'm a voluntarist. I want to see government gone. But beyond my preferences, push back. We have, you know, and one of the things that I'm seeing as a pattern is the control of speech. Talked about it last week too. It is one of the patterns. You know, and you know, one of the things that's happening in China, people worried about the coronavirus. Well, they locked down freedom of speech, so it spread faster. If it winds up being a real thing, that's the reason that it spread. So stop it. We have got to stand up for free speech. If we cannot talk, we're done. Ideas have got to exchange. And yes, you need a firearm to protect that. But I'm not going to shut up. They are not going to shut me up. They might take this page away. They might do all that. But I am going to continue talking. I'm going to continue pressing for freedom. It's what I do. It's who I am. And I'm going to continue doing it. And no amount of government censorship is going to change that. You know, people can say we're the land of the free. Not anymore. If we ever were, we're certainly not now. You don't have a right to tell me what I can say and what I cannot say. And the bottom line of where this is going and why they're locking down freedom of speech and why is because things are falling apart. They're coming to the end. People are actually waking up. Because once you realize what freedom is, you don't go back. Oh, you might, you know, be like in the Matrix, that dude, I don't remember his name, that wound up wanting to be put back in the Matrix. Sure, you can be a traitor like that. I can think Stefan Molyneux as an example. But he still knows. He just got paid, and he's regretting it now. So, but the whole purpose is to block the quote for this week. And that quote is, if we are allowed, and this is not the quote, but if we are allowed to learn all this truth, this is what happens. This is a quote by Murray Rothbard. If the bulk of the public were really convinced of the illegitimacy of the state, if it were convinced that the state is nothing more nor less than a bandit gang writ large, then the state would soon collapse to take on no more status or breadth of existence than another mafia gang. They're trying to stop that. They're trying to stop people realizing. Saw what happened with Ron Paul's revolution. They see what's happening in the Libertarian Party with the rise of Adam Kokesh, whether he gets the nomination or not. He's got a lot of support, and they know their time is limited. They also know that they are staging an enslavement operation as we speak. They are gearing up to try to fully enslave us soon. I don't know if it's 10 years away, 5 years away, but it is on its way. And they know that the fewer of us that are awake, the better, because there will be less resistance. So help me share my ideas about that resistance. Be part of that resistance. Get out. Do something for freedom. And I'm not just talking about talk on Facebook. I've said this before, but do something. I don't care if it's go join the Libertarian Party. I don't care if it's go grow a garden. I don't care if it's get involved in a community that is set itself outside of the economy of the United States. Stop paying taxes. Start getting Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, however you can attack the monster that is the state. Do it, and do it soon. So, if you've liked this video, please like, share. Please go to my store and check out my products. I don't need you to do that. I'm going to keep doing it whether you do or not, but I got cool stuff. And if you want to see better picture quality, if you want to see, better stuff from me, I'm going to need some money to do that. And I'm self-funded, so you buy a t-shirt, it goes towards that. Anyway, thank you very much for your time, and stay free.